Are you ready to start turning your homestead into a profitable business? Are you unsure where to start or what obstacles you might face? This episode will give you an understanding of the basics so you can jumpstart your venture and start making money on your homestead today. Let's get growing. Hello and welcome to the Pray Just Plant podcast, the show that talks about growing a garden, a homestead, a healthy family, and most importantly, growing closer to God. I'm your host, Crystal Media, owner of the Red Ridge Farm Homestead, where our mission is to help women of faith find the courage to grow healthy food for their family while building a closer relationship with our Lord and Savior. If that's you, don't let the world hold you back. Pray, just plant. Hello, fellow growers, and welcome to the Pray Just Plant podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Media, and today in season 11, episode 3, we're going to dive into talking about making money on the homestead. Is this something that is right for you? What are the things that you need to be thinking about before you jump into that venture and more? And if you've been following along in the purposeful growing journey, this is part of the purposeful life stage. If you're not sure what it is, let me explain it real quick. The purposeful growing journey is a group of about 6 stages that I have seen through other people's journey, my journey, and other homesteaders that are essential for building a homestead and building that purposeful growing life for yourself. The first stage is just grow. That's when you're getting all of your ducks in a row. You're figuring out your goals. You're figuring out, is this what you need to do? Is growing your own food what God is calling you to? Then you have the purposeful kitchen. I think everyone can start in the kitchen, no matter if you are growing a garden or growing a homestead. The kitchen is the foundation, I think, of the homestead, the center, the heart. And of course, that gets into the heart of the home, which is a purposeful home, is the next stage out. This is where you're learning to create purpose in your home. Everything like homemaking and growing come together, and time management, and really finding purpose in yourself. And then is the purposeful garden. You're learning to grow a garden. You're starting your first garden. You're growing your own fruits and vegetables. And then you have the purposeful homestead, where you're adding animals to your growing venture. And then last is the purposeful life. This is when you're taking all of those other 5 stages, you're bringing them all together, and maybe you're thinking about expanding into permaculture and expanding into an orchard or expanding into making money from what you grow. So today in this episode, we're going to do just that. We're going to talk about and answer the question, are you ready to start making money on your homestead? Starting a business on your homestead can be an incredibly rewarding experience, but it's important to be prepared. So today I'm going to be asking you 7 questions you need to be asking yourself before you get started. Essentially, what these 7 questions are going to do is help you develop a business plan. Recently, I believe it was last month, I shared with my newsletter members a free class on how to make a business plan. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but also just bring it in from answering that question, is making money on your homestead right for you? And answering these 7 questions, I think, will really help you visualize and get started with what you can grow to make money, what you already are growing and how you can turn that into making money, and more. If you would like to be part of the Red Ridge Farm Fellowship newsletter and have access to my monthly classes, be sure to go to the link in the show notes and the description below and sign up for the newsletter. Or if you grab any of my free resources, you will also be signed up there. So the 7 questions you should be asking yourself before you dive into making money or thinking about making money. This is going to help you plan and strategize and hopefully make a successful but not complete business plan. This is just some questions that you should be asking yourself so that you can dive into the full business plan. So the first question I have for you is, why do you want to earn an income from your homestead? I think every goal, every purposeful situation, an additional animal to the homestead, you should always, before you jump in, ask yourself why. Why do you want to do this? Is it because you want to create an income so that you can add some more animals to your property, or maybe even add more property? Or do you want to just try out making money so that you can do more? I don't know what the answer is. For me personally, the reason I wanted to start a business out of our homestead and not just grow our own food was I wanted to teach my kids entrepreneurship. I wanted to show them that a business can be created by yourself. You can create and start a business. I wanted to show them that yes, you can make money, and not only can you make money, you can be doing the thing you love and making money. They may not love the market garden so much as I do, but they see me loving it and they see me enjoying it and creating that business for myself and our family and bringing in a little extra money to help balance the costs of growing a huge garden for ourselves. But I also wanted to show them that the workforce is not the only place that you can go to earn money. You can build your own business. So that was my why for building our market garden this year. I've grown a garden for years, but this year I've taken it a step further and really been strategic with my planning, making sure that I have different variety of crops ready all of the time so that I can sell those crops to others and go to farmers markets and go to our local health grocery stores and sell our produce there. And yes, earning a little extra money to help support the garden is amazing, but that wasn't my first true why. And also knowing your why is going to help you fall back, because I'm going to tell you right now, you probably already know this, that homesteading is hard. Growing your own food is hard. And when you know your why, when you find your purpose or your calling or your vocation, you have something to fall back on. You have something to push you forward. You have something to reorganize your priorities. You have an essential, like a mission statement. You have something to be your sounding board. And that's what this why is going to be for you when you are trying to create your own business. The next question is, who will buy your farm goods? So if you're thinking about, I have a dairy, I'm going to sell milk. Well, who's going to buy it? How are you going to get it into your customers' hands? Are you going to advertise? Are you going to go to farmers markets? Are you going to do all the regulations that you would need to do so that you can sell in grocery stores or small mom and pop stores? What are you going to do to have a product for sale? Who will buy your farm goods? If this is meat, maybe you're thinking of doing a packaged meat sales and you want to grow grass-fed goats or grass-fed pigs or grass-fed beef or whatever your venture, grass-fed meat chickens. Who is going to buy those farm goods? Do you have a customer base already? Do you already have friends and family that say, oh man, I came over for Thanksgiving. They're like, oh, this is like the best turkey I have ever tasted. Oh man, I wish you would have had some of these for sale. I would have bought one. Are you hearing that from other people? Are you hearing that, yes, you have a customer base? Who are you going to sell your produce, your meat, whatever the goods are to? I don't think in this step you quite need to know what goods you're selling, but you need to be maybe just thinking about already what you're currently growing and also just thinking about how you're going to get your customers, because marketing is the biggest part of earning an income. Marketing is where you're getting other people to notice that you have something to sell. They say in the business that marketing is 80% of the work that you do, and 20% is your producing of the product. So marketing is a huge thing. So you need to have someone to buy from you before you can truly have a business. So you need to get that question answered for yourself. The next question is, what do you have to start with? Now, this is where you're going to be thinking about the products that you have. What do you have already to start with that you don't have to go out and venture into? Like my market garden. I have a garden. Did I have everything precise in this is the date I was going to plant this and this is the different varieties I was going to have of that and all of these things? Or was I just growing what my family loves? Yes, of course. But I had the resources. I had the knowledge of growing a garden. I had the knowledge of harvesting and creating a good product, because I've done it for years for our family. And all I needed to do was tweak a few things to grow more. So what do you already have to start with? Maybe you already have places for 100 meat chickens. Well, can you expand? Or is 100 meat chickens what you're going to sell and you do 2 or 3 batches of them in a year? Do you already have that infrastructure? Because when you already have an infrastructure of something, that's going to help you earn more, because the biggest part of a business is profit and loss, right? And buying into an infrastructure. So if you are needing to build a bunch of pens to get started, or you already have 2 and you think, well, I have 2, I can just do another round of meat chickens. What I'm talking about is like, we have 2 meat chicken tractors, I guess you could call them, and each of them holds about 30 birds. That's enough, 60 birds, that's enough for us as a family. And we usually order our chicks in April. So if I wanted to sell some, what I could do is I could have my meat chickens come in April. We could raise that first batch. At that 4-week point when I am putting those meat chickens out on grass, I could be getting in my other order of chicks. So I could be ordering another 60 chicks. And then when those meat chickens are needing to be butchered at 8 to 12 weeks, I will have room now for my baby chicks coming out of the brooder into the infrastructure that I already have. Or maybe I need to build just one more pen and I just want to sell 30 more chickens as my business. So what do you already have to start with? The next thing is, what products will match your resources? So when you're talking about what you already have to start with, you could even be looking at that, okay, I have 3 acres. I can easily raise market goats on 3 acres, or I can easily raise grass-fed chicken business on 3 acres. That's what you're doing also when you're looking at your resources. And then what products will match your resources? Well, if you only have like 1.5 acres, well, a market garden would match that. A market garden doesn't need to be huge. Yes, it's going to be a time investment, because that's also resources. How much time do you have to put into your business? Yes, I grow a garden every year, but now this year I've put probably at least 2 more hours a day into my garden with my market business. In fact, this morning I packed up a bunch of stuff. It took me 2 hours to harvest and pick and package all of my things for 2 customers. So you need to be thinking about that. What are your time restraints? What are your resources? What can you do on your property? What can you do? What knowledge do you have? All of those things that will match a product. The next question is, how much do you need to sell to reach your sales goal? So you can look at this in different ways. Okay, I want to break even. I want to buy a big greenhouse. It's going to cost me about $900. How much do I need to sell to break even to purchase that greenhouse? Maybe that's something that you're thinking about. Maybe you're not thinking, I want a big, huge business to create an income, another income stream for your family. You're just thinking, I want to create a business to pay for a little bit of infrastructure that will make my growing a little bit easier. Or maybe you do want an income. Maybe you want to make $10,000 in a year. What are you going to need to sell to reach that sales goal? And you got to think about how much it's going to cost. How much is that? Let's talk about meat chickens again. How much is that chick going to cost? How much is the feed going to cost? How much are you going to be able to sell that meat chicken for? $20 a meat chicken and it costs $12.50 to raise it. Then you're only making a profit of, let's do the math, $7.50 a chicken. So how many you're going to need to sell to make a profit of $10,000, or not even a profit? How much are you going to have to sell to make $10,000? And then the difference would be your profit. So you can dive into that. And that's where you're really getting into the business plan side. And there's a little bit more deep detail of that. And in that class that I taught to my newsletter fellowship, I went in a little bit deeper into how to create a business plan. But these are some ideas that will help you get started on a business plan. How you can really narrow in on what you could grow or what you can't grow. Also, maybe you want to do salad bar beef like Joe Salatin, but the property that you're on, or you'd have to lease this or lease that, maybe that product isn't going to work for you and you need to do another product. That's also what these questions are going to do, so that when you do decide what you do want to grow, then you can make a more in-depth business plan. So the next question is, when will you reach your sales goal? So maybe your goal is to make $10,000. Does that mean you're going to make $10,000 in the first year? Is it going to take 2 or 3 years to get up to that amount? Are you going to at least be able to break even the first year, and maybe the second year you'll create a profit? What are those numbers going to look like? And so you can do this by researching How much is the feed that, like, maybe you're already growing meat chickens or you're already doing a garden? How much do you spend every year on a garden? How much would you have to spend to grow a little bit more? And then how much money will that bring in if you sell all your products? Remember, we talked about the second question, who will buy your farm goods? Marketing is a huge aspect. A lot of times we get into growing and we want to maybe sell, but we don't tell anybody about it. Well, if you don't tell anybody about your product, how are you going to sell your products? You need to keep marketing in mind. That's a huge aspect of creating a business. Go to any local business. Go down to your local clothing store. Go down to your local feed store. Ask them, what do you do to advertise? Do you get in the newspaper? Do you get on the radio? What do you do to advertise? And they're going to tell you that they actually do a lot to advertise to bring in customers. So you might have that to look at as well. But when will you reach your sales goals? Is it going to take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or more? Have that plan, because it may take a few years to get up and running. When I started my market garden business, I went into the couple local I wouldn't call them mom and pops. They're local health stores that try to really sell organic, try to sell a little bit more to on the healthier side of food, and they welcome locally grown products. And I went in to talk to them, and they were telling me that a couple other market gardeners in our area, they were just finally, after 3 years, really getting the hang of it, really getting a market base and all of that. So it might take a few years to get going. Do you have the budget for that? Do you have a savings to start your business? What are some ideas you have there? And the last question in this short little episode is, where will you get the money to launch your business? I just asked that question, right? Do you have a savings? Is your business, for one, going to need a startup cost? Or do you already have everything that you need as an infrastructure? And maybe the startup cost is only going to be purchasing the seeds, or purchasing the tools you need to build your greenhouse, or purchasing the meat chickens and the feed for your chickens, or purchasing the goats, or do you already raise your goats? What is it that you're going to need to launch? Are you going to need so much amount of money to get your infrastructure going? If that's the case, you may need to save for a little while to get going. Or you might look at some kind of budget and figure out a budget that can help you save so you can get your business off the ground. I think a budget is so important. I've said it in other episodes, especially in the purposeful home stage of the purposeful growing journey, is that you just as a family unit, you need to create a budget. And you should be definitely creating a budget for your homestead. It's important to tell your money what you want it to do, not let your money give you limits. I always saw it the other way around. Okay, I want to go out to eat more, and I felt that having a going out to eat budget was not something I wanted to do. But then I also wanted to build a new barn for my goats, and I realized that if I go out to eat more, because you only have so much money coming in, if I go out to eat more, that pulls away from my goat barn. So having a budget helps you tell your money what you want it to do for you. And if you want your money to help you build a business, then you need to tell it to do that. So I hope these questions have helped you really look into, is adding a growing business beneficial for you? Is it a good idea? Is this something that you can see that is feasible? Because with the right knowledge, planning, and strategies, you can make a profit and be successful. So now that you have a better idea of what it takes to start a homestead business, please take the time to make a plan and create a vision for your business. Use those 7 questions and really flesh it out. Now, if you want to go deeper into it, you need to probably focus in on what you are finally going to do, and then build that business plan. And if you want any helpful resources from me, be sure to check out the Purposeful Growing Journey page and inside the Purposeful Life stage to find your action steps for starting to create a business on your homestead. Again, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Pray Just Plant podcast. If you're new here, I want to welcome you to the Red Ridge Farm Fellowship of Fellow Growers, and please feel free to join our newsletter and be part of the Red Ridge Farm Fellowship growing community. And as always, don't let the world hold you back. Pray Just Plant. This week's episode is brought to you by the Planning Beyond the Harvest Handbook. This handbook was designed to help you get your harvest onto your family's plates. We grow all this delicious food, and sometimes in the garden planning, we forget about the harvest and beyond the harvest. This workbook will walk you through the 5 steps that I use to get beyond the harvest. You can grab your copy at redridgefarm.org/resources.